Hey, welcome back, guys. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast. Today, I'm going to give you permission to do something you've probably already done, and maybe you weren't proud of it, but I'm going to tell you that it's okay, and that is to yell at your kids. Yell at your kids. Now, let me preface that with, you shouldn't be doing this all the time. And this came up, me and my wife were watching she showed me a funny TikTok video where it was all mothers, but they were using gentle parenting, and we'll get into gentle parenting and the pros and cons. And they were, hey, sweetie, I need you to stop. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I've asked you not to do that. And then they go nuts, scream at them, and whatever they were asking them to stop, the kids instantly do it. Or like, give me that. Please give me that. Give that to me now. Give it to me. They were aggressive, and the aggressiveness worked. And we've thankfully are working on our parenting skills, and this concept of gentle parenting came in. And I want to read the Google definition of AI. When I asked AI what is gentle parenting, it says gentle parenting is a style that focuses on empathy, respect, understanding to help children develop social skills and emotional intelligence. It's also known as child-led consciousness, mindful or intentional parenting. Some of the key characteristics are empathy and understanding. Parents talk with their children with empathy and understanding when they are frustrated. Connecting. Gentle parents prioritize connecting with children. Boundaries. Gentle parents set clear and consistent boundaries. Positive discipline. Gentle parents use positive discipline instead of punishment or yelling. Self-regulation. Gentle parents help children develop self-regulation skills and understand the consequences of their action. Partnership. Gentle parenting encourages a partnership between parents and children to make choices based on internal willingness and age-appropriate development. Gentle parenting focuses on age-appropriate development. Now, all those are really good. I think we should be trying to do that for our kids. And we have some friends that are, really into gentle parenting, and it's interesting to see. It's usually, I will say, it's new parents with one kid. And the idea of, I'm not going to punish, I'm going to try to understand why they are acting the way they are acting. It is all very logical. And I would say most of the time as parents, we should be gentle parents. We should not be resorting to harsh discipline. We should not be yelling most of the time. We should not be demeaning, probably ever. But there comes a time where I think that's appropriate. And as a new dad, I'm giving you permission to be harsh sometimes, because I have a philosophy, and I've shared this before about being peaceful. I consider myself a peaceful person. But the only reason that I can consider myself a peaceful person and not a weak person is because I have the capability for violence. And what I mean by that, if I couldn't actually hurt somebody, if I didn't have that somewhere inside my psyche, then if I don't hurt somebody, it's not because I made that decision, which I think would make me peaceful. It's because I'm weak. We had a kind of a scary incident. We were getting ice cream with the kids. It's kind of a park-like setting. And there was a pit bull, a big pit bull, like a 100-pounder, big, giant, fat head. And there was a toddler from another family just on the other side of the pit bull. And the pit bull was on a leash, and the lady actually had the leash around her belly. And she wasn't really looking at the dog, but the dog was not barking. It was just sitting quietly. The 3-year-old goes over to walk, and I think it had some ice cream in its hand, and the pit bull lunges at the baby, barks, not like, I'm curious, bark, like, I'm going to eat you, bark. It pulled so hard, it pulled the lady off the chair she was sitting in, flipped her over backwards, and is now getting dragged towards this 3 or 4-year-old little boy. I immediately stood up, and I went over. Well, luckily, the dad he turned around, he picks his kid up. The lady starts apologizing, and she's yanking this giant dog that's just trying to rip this kid's face off. I'm so sorry, and they left. And, my wife, I hope I didn't freak her out, but she said, what were you going to do? Because initially I stood up, and I was going towards the dog. She said, what were you going to do? And without thinking about it, I said I was going to kick it in the stomach as hard as I could till it let go. And then if it didn't let go, I was going to get my knife out and stab it to death. And that just came out. Why? Because I have the capability of violence. Now, I wouldn't want to do that. I've never kicked a dog to death. I don't think I've ever kicked a dog in general. I've never stabbed one. But I knew what I was going to do because that little boy was way more important than that dog. And I love dogs. I've had dogs my entire life. But that's what makes me peaceful. In order for you to be a gentle parent, you have to have the capability of being harsh, realizing that just like violence, it's almost never the answer. But sometimes it is. Sometimes the answer is. So before I give you when that answer is, I want to tell you when it's not okay to be harsh. And some of the rules that I've put in my life, and I will give you the caveat that I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a neurologist. I'm not a behavioral anything. This is my experience as a father of 3. I don't think you should ever be harsh with your child when you are angry, or I should say, you should never be punishing your child. If you believe in corporal punishment, if you believe in spanking and things like that, if you think spanking is okay, and I'm not here to argue whether it is or it isn't, but if you think it's okay and you spank your child when you are mad or angry, you have abused them and hit them. You didn't discipline them. Discipline, in my opinion, can only happen when you're cool, calm, and collective. It's the only time. If something happens and you're mad and you hit your kid, you hit them. You didn't discipline them. Discipline comes from you when you're in a place of peace, quiet. And if you're not, you have to remove yourself from that situation. Don't hit your kid. I think that's really important. When it comes to being harsh with the words you use, I truly believe in the gentle parenting of we're going to criticize the action, not the person. If your kid lies to you, or you say your kid does something dumb, don't call your kid stupid. I think that hurts to the core of being a child, to have the person you love most, trust most in your life, telling you you're stupid, you're an idiot, any of those things. Now, they can be stupid and they can be acting like an idiot, but I think we address the actions. When you did that was a terrible decision. That's okay. Those decisions had really bad consequences. I don't like those decisions. I think all that's totally appropriate, but you're stupid. You're an idiot. I don't think we should be doing that. In fact, I think we're a funny family. We joke around. I really try not to even tease my kids. Now I will, but it needs to be at the highest, lightest level if we're going to be, teasing back and forth a little bit about one thing or the other. But I really want them to know that I'm a safe place, that my wife is a safe place, that we're not going to find their faults and blow them up. I think that's really important. So you should be in control of yourself, and that's not always possible. And this is where I think I want to give you permission to be harsh sometimes, because we're not perfect. And I think sometimes gentle parenting comes across as more of a worry that we're harming our kids. And I don't think one outburst of anger or disappointment or saying the wrong thing, I think, you're stupid, I don't think you're completely harming your kids for the rest of their lives. I think they're way more resilient than that. And one of the things with gentle parenting is we should be doing it to make them a better person, not because we're afraid of the consequences of our actions. I think some people parent out of fear. Oh, I'm afraid my kid's not going to love me when they grow up. I'm afraid this, I'm afraid that. We shouldn't be parenting based on fear of future outcomes. We should be parenting based on hope that they're going to succeed and be amazing and do awesome things. We should be parenting in the affirmative. I deal at work, we deal with a lot of new paramedics, and sometimes they come into treating patients out of fear of failing the protocol and getting in trouble. I'm like, that's not the point. You shouldn't be giving a treatment or not giving a treatment because you're afraid of down the road, the medical board is going to come and say, hey, you violated this protocol. That should be almost the last thing in your mind. It should be, what is the best thing for this patient right now? This patient was my mom. How would I treat her? If it means doing more than the protocol said, do more than the protocol says. If it means do less because there's extenuating circumstances, do that and then document. Like, we should be parenting out of love and hope and excitement for the future, not I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt my kids' feelings and that's going to destroy them for the rest of their life. I was talking to a school administrator and they had a meeting with a younger child, like 3rd, 4th grade, who was, just having some problems in class. And so it's the mom, the dad, both highly educated, professional people, wealthy. Life was working well for them. This was their only child, and they're in this meeting, and the kid is sitting on the dad's lap. And as the administrator's talking to him, the kid is just like kicking the dad right in the leg, boom, over and over and over, to the point where the administrator said, "Sir, I know this is your kid, but this is my school, and I do not tolerate violence like that towards anybody. Tell him to stop." And the parents are like, "Oh, I don't want to," he gets upset when we tell him to stop. You are not being a gentle parent by letting them run just, roughshod across the whole world and not giving them consequences. And this is where I think it's okay to be harsh. If your kid is doing something dangerous, it's okay not to have the conversation of, "Honey, do you think this is a smart idea right now? Do you think sticking the paperclip in the outlet is a good idea?" And try to come from an empathetic standpoint. That's not it. Tell them, "Stop, don't do that." That's okay, right? You're doing this because you want what's best for your kid, right? That is a very logical thing to do. It's okay to say that, to do that. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of your little kid. When it comes to times I wouldn't be gentle with my parent or with my kids is when, danger's involved. When they need to understand that just because I raise my voice doesn't mean that I'm mad. It might be that something that's urgent. Once you get to the point where your kids are driving and they get their permit and they're learning, you don't want them to have to question everything. And I'm like, "Are you mad at me?" I'm like, "No, I told you to stop because there's a semi truck coming at us. It was going to hit us. We're not going to have an argument about it." You want their kid to make a decision because they want to make that decision because it's a good idea, but that's not always reality. Sometimes you as a parent are going to make the better decision. And because of the situation, you have to tell them, "We're going to do this now." And don't ask questions right now. Now, when my kids go to school and the teacher tells them something and they don't agree with it, I hope they say, "I don't understand that. Could you explain it to me? I don't see it like that." That's awesome. I think that's good. That's how you learn. But if your kid never has any time where they have to listen right now at this very moment, and they always feel like they need to argue their point, they're going to be messing up. Maybe I'm slightly skewed, but in the world I live in, we give orders. We literally call them orders. "I'm telling you to go do this." And I tell my new guys that if I'm saying something, as long as it makes sense and there's not some other situation out there, just do it. And I'll tell you why later. Like if I tell them, "Hey, run," or "Get out," we're not going to have a conversation. I'm like, "We're both going to run. And when we stop running, I will tell you why I just asked you to run." Because I need to be harsh at that moment. I need to be definitive. Give your kids the opportunity to see your full range of emotions. If your kid has never seen you mad, and the first time they ever seen an adult or an authority figure mad is their boss, you failed them. If they never see you angry. No, I know not everyone listens to this as a Christian, but the Bible says to be angry, but sin not. So it is okay, even as a Christian, to be angry. I think it's okay to tell your kid, "When you did that made me angry." And I think that's where gentle parenting would. They don't want the kid to think that they're making mommy sad, or they're making mommy that's something that makes them bad. And maybe I wouldn't tell a 2 or 3-year-old, like as age appropriate, it's okay to tell them that what they did made you feel a certain way, because that's real emotion. That makes sense to me. So don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid to be real with your kids. If your kids have never, like I recently went to the 9/11 memorial in New York City, the World Trade Center, and I didn't realize it, but it made me very emotional. I wasn't prepared. I got to the water fountain there and I started crying. And my son said to my mom, or to my wife, he said, "Mom, I don't think I've ever seen Dad cry." And maybe that's a fail on me. Maybe I need to be a little more open because he hadn't seen that. I want your kids to see all your emotions. I want them to see that you get mad, you get upset, you get angry, you get scared. And all those can have a reaction that's not gentle, right? That's intense. And to realize that it's okay, because sometimes we respond aggressively or harshly when we're scared. And that's something our kids can learn. "Oh, when I did this, my dad was aggressive with me because he was scared, not because he was mad." If they never get yelled at, they're going to assume that every time an adult yells at them, it's because they're mad at them. And that's just not true. That is not how the world works. So give your kids the chance of seeing the entire self. Use all the tools in your arsenal. Use angry, use mad, Use love, use kindness, use patience more, right? The default should be gentle. The default should be love and kindness and patience. But give yourself a little grace when you flip out because they're making you late. You're not going to scar them for life. It's okay. You're going to be all right. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title, and I will talk to you later. Bye.